afternoon, everyone, and welcome to ET Auto. So, we have seen in the passenger vehicle segment how the OEMs and the industry is moving towards a bouquet of technologies, but commercial vehicles is a different ballgame. To throw more light on the technological trends and how the industry is moving ahead, we have with us Dr. N. Saravanan, Chief Technology Officer at the commercial vehicle maker Ashok Leyland. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
So, as we have been talking about the technological innovations and how we're moving ahead, you mentioned about the hydrogen ICE in the powertrain. So, probably could you like share more on that? How Ashok Leyland is moving towards that, and probably hydrogen itself has its own set of challenges as well. So, could you share some more light on that?
So, as I've been saying in various forums and even today's talk, it is just one of the technologies we're looking at, hydrogen ICE. And unlike passenger cars, commercial vehicle is much more complex because from a customer perspective, it's about how much money do I make running this vehicle. If you look at commercial vehicle, the lower ends may migrate towards EVs and a little bit of CNG, LNG. As you get into heavier vehicles, there are a lot more options, we believe, because it all depends on not just technology, but also on the ecosystem availability. So looking at hydrogen as an option. Within hydrogen, we believe there are two options, as you know. One is, of course, the hydrogen ICE, and other is, of course, the fuel cell. Hydrogen ICE looks interesting. I would say interesting is the right word at this point because it has synergies with existing infrastructure, both as an OEM, as a supplier base. And it has its advantages in terms of being possibly robust. From a customer perspective, it's a known devil, then something new like a fuel cell. So we believe, if not for the long term, at least for the medium term, we believe hydrogen ICE could play a bridging role because it provides, in our view, two big benefits. One is it could potentially be green, if to a large extent, if we use green hydrogen. Second, it also provides energy independence from if India can produce a lot of hydrogen. So I think from two perspectives, it makes sense. We just have to get over some of the challenges we have in terms of storing using hydrogen, safety aspects, and so on. But I think that's a problem we can recover in the next few years. So for us, yes, it's an interesting option. We believe it could be one of the options we look at in the commercial vehicles.
So, as you mentioned, hydrogen ICE can be seen as a medium-term solution. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there are global prototypes for hydrogen fuel cells, globally. So, how far are we, like India, from the fuel cell technology? Probably, if you could give us a sense of the timeline.
So I think if you ask me, fuel cell itself, the first set of fuel cell vehicles you will see is OEMs working clearly with other large partners, whether it's some fuel cell makers of the Ballard or Toyotas or other people. But I think it'll be a while before you start seeing OEMs get into developing their own fuel cell. So it'll happen progressively. You might end up buying some stack or doing the BOP yourself. But I think it's maybe quite a few years away till you see an Indian OEM, I could be wrong, but Indian OEM making their own complete fuel cell. That's only starting to happen now in Europe, but I think it's a little bit off for us. Maybe 5 years down the road, you'll start seeing some. But till then, whatever demand is there for fuel cell, you'll start seeing OEMs work very closely with fuel cell partners to make it happen.
Right, as we have been discussing, collaboration is the key to go ahead. Yes. So going forward with certain technologies coming up, lightweighting also plays an important role there. So if you could share in detail, like what kind of, how important is it, and probably what can be done for lightweighting of the vehicles?
I think it's especially if you start looking at commercial vehicle, and if you say there are applications for EV commercial vehicle. 50-60% of the cost of the commercial vehicle in the EV commercial vehicle will be batteries. So if you can save some weight, which means I can reduce the battery capacity and battery cost, it's a tremendous value add. Unlike diesel vehicles, where you could argue that the payback of lightweighting is not that, it's difficult to get the payback in a commercial vehicle by lightweighting in diesel vehicles. And EVs make a lot more sense because each kilowatt hour of battery you save almost $200 per kilowatt hour. So therefore, from a perspective of payback, it makes tremendous sense. Now, how you get there, it's a different challenge because commercial vehicles are loaded 100%. There is a challenge of overload and so on. But it's not just to say we need to look at exotic materials. It's not like I'm going to shift everything to aluminum. You can start looking at high strength steels, for example, as an example. You can also, more importantly, look and say, not every commercial vehicle may be overloaded. There are applications which are rated load, which may be for e-commerce. So we're looking at application by application and saying that maybe there are segments which can take a lot more lightweighting, which are segments which actually cannot take the lightweighting. So we are looking at application by application. We're looking at not just aluminium as an example. We're looking at aluminium, but not just for every aspect. Looking at high strength steel. So it's a combination of things we're looking at, making sure whatever we do does not compromise on the reliability of the vehicle. That is one. Second, it makes sense from a business perspective, right? Whether it is increasing the payload for the customer or decreasing the cost for the customer. So it's from as a multi-pronged approach from our perspective.
Right. So every OEM is working towards a variety of technologies, and a lot is happening on that stage. So with respect to Ashok Leyland, probably like how are you upping your game for the research and development? If you could just share a gist on that.
No, I think in some sense we are probably also we are actually working on every technology that you can think of, whether it is an IC engine based or electric based, right? So you will see us working on CNG, LNG for sure. We also have some work going on in terms of methanol, both blending with diesel and also 100% methanol. From a EV perspective, EV of course is a mainstay for us from on the smaller vehicles and buses. We're also looking at fuel cell hybrid. So I think for us, everything that, because right now there is no way we can decide one path and take that forward. So for us, it's to get to a level of comfort and readiness to some levels on all technologies, and then depending on what takes off, we probably should be ready for that.
Yeah, true. It's a learning process for the policymakers and the industry as well. So just one last thing, like we have heard commercial vehicle is on a steady growth, like we have seen for the last year, and probably that's the probable outcome expected for this year as well. So do you see any kind of headwinds or tailwinds, or what is your outlook for this year for the industry?
I'm not an expert in the front end of marketing, but I think I do see, I do believe from what I read that the coming year looks reasonably good. Beyond that, it's difficult. The Indian market has always been very unpredictable. So beyond that, I'm not able to say, but the coming year looks reasonably okay. I'm not able to give numbers, but I think hopefully it'll be good for the sake of the industry.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for giving us your time. Thank you.